Deputy President William Ruto has cautioned opposition leaders against engaging in politics that may provoke unrest in the country. In a statement seemingly aimed at court leaders who paraded victims of the 2007 post-election violence in Kibra yesterday, the Deputy President said the country is in the process of healing and that leaders must desist from politics of hate and animosity. And as KTN's Murimi Mwangi now reports, the court coalition still insists that the government has swept the victims' plight under the carpet for far too long.
After giving politics a wide berth during the Saturday Afraha prayer rally in Nakuru, the Jubilee Brigade was back to character 24 hours later as Deputy President William Ruto led a host of Jubilee leaders to a church service at Jesus Winner Ministry in Nairobi, where the post-ICC politics took center stage.
Kama kuna mtu ambaye alikuwa anafikiri atapata faida yoyote ama hasara yoyote kwa mambo ya ICC na Hague, tunasema hiyo kurasa imefungwa na haitafunguliwa milele.
Court, musikie hivi. With or without you, we are going to unite this country under the chairmanship and Captain Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
But the move by court leaders to parade victims of the 2007 post-poll chaos during their Saturday rally in Kibera has infuriated the Jubilee Brigade, which now claims that the move is unhealthy for the country's ongoing healing process. This despite the Jubilee leaders also parading IDPs of the 2007 post-poll chaos who have since been resettled.
Sasa watu wanachukua victims, huko wanaanza kuweka kwa mtandao, Orengo wanaanza kuweka watu hapo. What the victims require now is to be taken care of, not to be paraded for political expediency.
Hello, Kenya. He can use the statute of the International Criminal Court to open up the working envelope. Tunataka tujue ni wakina nani. Let them come with that envelope, and we are telling them we are not afraid.
And I am saying this as a person who believes in God. There will never be again violence of the nature of 2007-2008 in our country.
On Saturday, over 15 CORD-affiliated leaders attended their Fraha prayer rally, while CORD leaders led by Siaya Senator James Orengo and Machakos Senator Johnston Muthama still managed to marshal the numbers in Kibera for a counter rally on Saturday, despite the absentia of the three CORD principals. And even though politics took a back seat in a Fraha rally, the opposite of which happened in Kibera, where politics took center stage, most analysts argue that both functions were meant to whip up political emotions as the 2017 campaigns gained momentum.
One of the major things that they wanted to do in Nakuru was to use the event to consolidate their bedrocks, the voting blocks, and pass the message that we are still one. Yes, there are people who wanted us jailed, but we have come out stronger, and we are going back to the next elections with gusto.
Now, with 3 Kenyans staring at a possible prosecution at The Hague over alleged interference with prosecution witnesses and many victims of the 2007 post-poll chaos yet to get government compensation, the ICC standoff is one that is not likely to go away from the local political scene going into the 2017 general election. Muremi Mwangi, KTN News, Nairobi.
Now, it's just 2 months before Chief Justice Willie Mutunga vacates office, and the battle to succeed him is heating up. Our senior political reporter Chris Thairu interrogates the frontrunners in the succession of Mutunga, as well as a report card on his performance.
Chief Justice and the President of the Supreme Court, Dr. Willie Mutunga, was appointed into office in June 2011. He joined the judiciary, having served in different capacities in the civil society on a platform of change and the much required reforms in the country's judicial system. And after serving for 5 years, the 69-year-old has opted to take an early retirement and leave office in June this year, hence giving time for the process of seeking his successor before the 2017 general election. But how has he fared on during his tenure?
If you have built courts or if you have hired many magistrates, that is the measure by which we judge your success. But the truth of the matter is that building cathedrals that nobody goes to worship in does not help anyone. So for me, it has been a dismal performance on his part.
He knows how to raise funds. He knows probably how to midwife and orient projects and probably look for funds against which those projects will be implemented. That's really probably was his strength. If you come to judgment writing, I don't think William Mutunga had much of a skill in that respect. He's not a jurist. He's not a person you can pinpoint a judgment and say, this is what he's done, this is the skill that has come out, this is the talent that we've seen.
Current Chief Justice William Mutunga is a well-intentioned man. He has, the spirit. He believes in, the Constitution. But his performance has been below expectations. Kenyans expected something radical to happen within the judiciary.
The succession battle of Mutunga has already started taking shape, given the critical role of the Supreme Court in the run-up to the 2017 general election. The process has already caused the creation of alliances within the Judicial Service Commission, with different camps rooting for their preferred candidates. Those being fronted for the race include Supreme Court Judge Smokin Wanjala, Court of Appeal President Kehara Kariuki, High Court Judges Isaac Lenaola and Bogoli Masanga. Attorney General Professor Githu Muigai has also been cited as a possible contender for the position.
Luckily, we have judges in this country who have probably behaved away from politics and conducted themselves without involving themselves in politics. And that's why probably it would be easier to get someone, especially from inside the system.
I think we made a mistake as the people of Kenya to have a total outsider lead the judiciary as the head of the judiciary, because he does not know how the judiciary works. He appeared not to understand how the corruption networks in the judiciary operate. So
I think it would be good probably even to have somebody from within the judiciary, because the first case you preside over cannot be a presidential petition. You must have had some history of dealing with such issues. Yeah.
Given that the vacancy of the Chief Justice will only arise after he retires in 2 months' time, there is pressure from the political class that the earlier the process of seeking Mutunga's replacement starts, the better.
Because if we were to say it up to next year, we would risk having an election petition without the Chief Justice. And of course, the several judges of the Supreme Court also have issues about retirement age. My position is on that they ought to have retired by now. Justice Tonoi, Justice Rawal ought to have retired by now.
This is the opportune moment that we should then be able to start recruitment, because if we wait until the very last minute, we may have to rush the process. It may be again be challenged in court, and we may again not have the time to get the best.
There has also been fears that the longer the delay, the greater the risk that the formation of the Supreme Court may be left in limbo. This given that Deputy Chief Justice Kalpana Rawal has sued the Judicial Service Commission in a bid to stop it from recruiting her successor on grounds that she is supposed to retire at the age of 74 and not 70 as stipulated in the Constitution, as well as the corruption allegations facing Supreme Court Judge Justice Philip Tunoi. If both cases result in the removal of the 2 judges, then the Supreme Court bench will be left with only 4 judges instead of the minimum number of 5.
When there is an election of a judge or an appointment of a judge, there will be interest that will be served. Whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, whether it is Jubilee or CORD, those interests will play out, including that person has to come from a background. That person must be an area that is supported heavily by CORD or by Jubilee.
With the presumption that Justice Mutunga's deputy must be female, those seen as front-runners for the job are Supreme Court Judge Njoki Ndongo and Court of Appeal Judges Agnes Murgor, Martha Koome, Hannah Okwengu and Wanjiro Karanja. Apart from handling any election petition that will be filed after the 2017 general elections, another main challenge that will face the next Chief Justice will be to restore Kenyans' confidence that indeed our judicial system can be a corruption-free zone. Chris Dairu, KTN News.
Cabinet has started a 3-day retreat today as the Jubilee government moves to meet its ambitious manifesto. The talks are being held at the Great Rift Valley Lodge in Naivasha. The president, together with his deputy William Ruto, are likely to push for speedy completion of projects that can be completed between now and July next year. According to State House spokesman Manoa Esipisu, Uhuru will use the meeting to review, reflect and plan for priority areas in government and fast-track implementation of pre-election pledges. The cabinet is likely to reallocate resources to ensure that the projects are completed before the August 2017 general election, during which the president will be seeking to recapture his seat. Water, hospital equipment, roads and electricity will be the main areas of priority for the remaining months ahead of the general election. Other issues will be youth empowerment projects and progress on various government fundings. The last cabinet retreat was held in 2014.